Setting up rounds. For training and demonstration purposes, all names and addresses and roads are fictitious. However, catalogue codes, descriptions and prices are current to the relevant catalogue company. So, setting up rounds. A round is a collection of roads, and these need to be set up before you can do your drops and your collections from the drops. So, to set up a round, click on the rounds button. That will immediately show any rounds that you have already got set up for the company. So at the moment you can see on round number 1 I've got St Mark's Church, School Lane and Book Close. Now if I decide I want to add another road to that round, or I want to create a new round, so it might be round 1 I do on week 1, round 2 I do on week 2, round 3 on week 3, etc. I simply create a new catalogue round or add a road to a round. We then can give it the round ID, so this is going to be round 2. The collection order of this, so we're going to say it's number 1, i.e. I'm going to collect on this particular or drop catalogue to this road of this round, then I'm going to drop to the second road of the same round, etc. So we'll say the road's name is the new road. Number of houses, catalogues required, all of that is going to be taken care of the system as and when we process the data. So the next thing that we need to enter is the date that we created this round, so we'll say it's today, and when are we going to do the next drop. Generally, let's say we're going to do this in 3 weeks time, so 1 2 1 2 3, we'll do the next on the 30th. And now I need to add the houses names or numbers for new road. Two ways of doing this. We can have already done this, so we might have already gone out to the road, dropped the catalogues through, and I've made a note of the various numbers from there, or we're going to take a guess at it and try and set the road up before we go and drop the catalogues through, and then we'll come back and tidy up this road at a later date. So let's, for example, for say this road, we're going to take a guess at the houses that are on there. We've had a look at Google Maps or whatever, and it looks like it's a relatively small road, and the numbers seem to be running consecutively, say 1 to 15 houses. So I can just say add a range consecutive. What is the first number? It's number 1. Click OK. What is the last number? It's say number 15. Click OK, and then it will form the houses in the order that you put them in. So house number 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15, etc. If I made a nonsense of that, thought, crikey, no, it wasn't. They were it was two sides to the road. It was like 1 to 15, and then coming back down from say 14 to 2. To remove any of those, we can either click it and say delete selected number, or to get rid of the whole lot, just click once anywhere, then click Control A to highlight all of those and say delete selected numbers, and we can delete those, or we can start again with that road. So we saw how we can add a range consecutively. We clicked consecutive, number 1 to number 15, and in they went. Let's delete those. So let's say I want to do it on a side by side road. We can add a range, either odds or evens. So if I click add range, what is the first number? So it might be that we started with number 1, walked up the side of the road, and we finished at house number 15. Click OK. The system's going to automatically go down the odds for me, so it's going to say 1 3 5 7 9 11 13 15, but you can see here this is the dropping and collection order for that. So it's going to say First of all, I do number 1, second I do number 3, third I do number 5, 4 I do number 7, etc. Then I got to the end of the road, I went across the road and came back down, so I add a range. What was the number that we started at on the other side of the road? Well, it was number 14. Click OK, and what did we come back down the road to? We ended up at number 2, so I put number 2 in. And now you'll see that it's numbered it from 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. So when I form this drop, it will print a listing of me to be able to go down to house number 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, cross the road, come back down to going 14, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2. Might also be, let's say that they were a bit superstitious on this road and they didn't have a number 13, but they did have an 11A. So I remove number 13, and now I need to add another house into there, a number 11A. So I can say add single house number. It will then have created an additional house number at the bottom there for me. I simply change that to 11A, and now I look to where I want it to be positioned. So I want it to be positioned in between 11 and 15. So you can see I've got my collection order here of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I could say it's going to be in position number 7. 7 is missing, so I simply change that 16 to 7. Just get that to reorder it, and now you can see that 11A is placed after 11. Once you've finished setting up the numbering from that, we click save, and you can see now that it's added to that round listing there. So just to reiterate, to add a new round, we create a round. Let's say this is round number 2 and it's going to be order number 2. This is going to say the main close date I created it. The next drop, let's say, is going to be on the 31st, and then we either add a range consecutive, odds or evens, or add a single house number. So let's say add a range. Let's say we went from number 1 to number 5. In it goes. Come back down the side of the road, so we can say add range 6 to number 2. In they go. Click save, and in they go to there. So you can now see that we've got those roads set up. If I need to change anything on any of those rounds, let's say we've decided to archive some of the items. Generally, the archiving and removal of things will be done from within our drops and collection area, whereas we're marking whether they've been returned, looked at, order placed, or asked to be removed. But we still could control this from the rounds simply by double clicking on that. You can actually see that we've made a spelling error there, so we can just change that to correct it. Make any changes to here. If I wanted to remove one, we simply remove. I could double click on it to actually say that actually they've been asked to be removed, so I no longer want to deliver to them. As I said earlier, the system can do this automatically from your entering and collection of your rounds, but this is a manual override to that. Also, as data is beginning to be added, if we look at some of these items here, you can see on round number 1 on School Lane, I've actually had 3 orders to a value of £64. If I was to double click on that, it's giving me a history of the drops I have made, the orders that have been placed, and then the drop statistics. So on drop number 1, we delivered 24 catalogues, we collected 19, we lost 4, 7 were read, 3 became orders. If I wanted to look at the orders for that, I can order these by clicking the header there and putting them in orders of the customer. Double click on that and I can then see that Mrs. Helen Smith on drop number 1 placed an order, and that was the order that she placed, and we can double click on that and interrogate the order from there as well. So as you start using the system will start automatically reporting back to these rounds that you have just set up to give you more data from that. And then I'll just return back to the home screen.